your seats.
Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to the 53rd, actually, Dialogues event. Welcome also to all of you who are joining online and you're watching our program. We're waiting for your participation. As most of you know, Dialogues is an initiative of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation aiming to promote, first of all, new ways of thinking, but also to promote creative public dialogue across geographical, cultural, and, of course, social lines. Today, the SNF Dialogues event, it's the final session, the closing event of the SNF Nostos, so that means that it's a big challenge. And it's a big challenge due to the outstanding discussions and event that took place here at the SNFCC, under the umbrella of SNF Nostos, under the umbrella of the festival, but also of the conference that we had this year, and it was dedicated to the very sensitive issue of health. Today we will discuss about a subject that has an indirect, in some way, but a very major effect to health, and it's on social media and their impact on the mental health of the youth. There is mounting evidence pointing to a link between social media and how we use, actually, social media and depression. We have heard a lot about this issue from scientists. Today, we, the SNF Dialogues team, decided to have a different discussion. We decided to discuss with young people, representatives of younger generations who will share with us their experience from the social media, the way they use social media, and what they believe about the impact on the mental health. Before inviting our main speakers on stage, allow me to welcome, and I have to share with you that I'm very happy for those who are on the audience with us, because except for all of you who are here, and of course all of you who are attending virtually, about 60 students from almost any corner all over the country are here with us today. Where are you? Can we light them? Thank you so much for being here. All of you have traveled almost for everywhere, all over the country. Of course, this could not happen without having the help of the Tipping Point. Thank you so much to you, to your teachers, and to your parents for being here with us today, and not just today. I know that you had already attended yesterday, the first day of the conference, and today, the second day of the conference, but at this discussion, we would like to have your participation, your contribution, your thoughts, your questions, your statements. Whenever you may disagree, please feel free to disagree, and let's have an open dialogue discussion. Allow me now to share with you, for joining virtually, to give you some details and information, although you are super educated and you know how to communicate with us, because you can send also, and we're waiting for your questions, your thoughts, any ideas that you would like to share with us. You can send us anything you want on snfdialogues.org/questions. And of course, you can find us on social media, because yes, we also have and join social media. So you can find our accounts on Facebook and I forgot our second social media, and Instagram, of course, SNF Dialogues. So welcome everyone, all of you here and there. And now let me just invite on stage our speakers. They have also traveled for many different countries, and they are here with us to open this discussion. So welcome to all of you. Please, if you would like to join us. I have also to say that they are members of the Youth Committee. Their contribution, welcome. Their contribution all these months was very, very important, exactly because they worked together with a team of the Nostos while we were preparing the flow, the content, all the schedule of this experience that you had yesterday, but also you have today. So we count their feedback, we count their thoughts, their ideas, and that's the reason why it's more important, the fact that we will close with them and with their discussion, their dialogue, the SNF Nostos 2022. Before asking you, and sorry for that, introducing yourselves, I would like to say that Gerald Bale would also join the discussion, but unfortunately he is not here with us. We wish all the best, and we're waiting him next time, because for sure we're going to be in touch with all of you, and right after Nostos. Please, I would like to ask from all of you, teenagers and adults, to check your phones, because all these guys will ask you later to check how many hours per day do you spend on your mobile, and also to check how many hours per day you spend on each social media account you may have. Okay, so Thibaut, you're gonna ask? Look me.
Yeah.
This part of the audience. Later. No, from the middle. No, look. You can count, and right here, Professor Koplovitz. Be careful. So, right here, this is your part, okay? This here part is yours. Yanni, you can choose. And you can also guide Joy and Beatrice where to ask, okay? Okay. I want to be unexpected for the audience.
It will be unexpected, completely unexpected.
Perfect. So,
be afraid.
Very.
Beware.
An interesting opening for mental health issues.
This is the consequences.
That's true, actually. Very realistic. Okay. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Thibaut, let's start with you.
My name is Thibaut Hirsch. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I go to school at Wesleyan University, and I'm studying film and photography, hopefully. And I'm really excited about being at the SNF conference as a part of the Youth Advisory Committee.
Woo!
Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Ann Nobele. I work for an organization called Gun Free South Africa. I'm a podcaster and an overall radio head. I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa, and I, too, am very excited to be part of this dialogue.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Hello, I am Yannis Vasilopoulos. I'm basically a lyricist and a philosophy student at the University of Athens, and I'm thankful to be part of this team.
Hi everyone, my name is Joy Fan. I'm a rising fourth-year student at Columbia University in the city of New York, studying biomedical engineering and computer science. And I am so excited and honored to be here, and I can't wait for our discussion.
Hello everyone, I'm Beatrice Akech. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm the Advocacy and Campaigns Manager at Transform Health. And I'm also a youth advocate. And I'm really, really excited to be here today.
I forgot to mention that there are also here some speakers, some young people actually, who were speakers of the dialogues, let me remember when, back in March 2021, about Generation Z. And I know that they're here with us. Where are you? Hi. So now we did the mapping.
We're ready.
You got it. Okay. What is your relationship with social media?
Just start?
Yes.
I would say that I have a relatively conflicted relationship with social media. I would say, naturally, there are the positives. Social media connects people from all over the world. It provides a platform on which, people can share their opinions and their voices. And generally speaking, it's a huge area for information to flow, which is important because you get different perspectives. And stories are told that might not otherwise be told in more conventional forms of media. But at the same time, like my personal experience, I've found social media to provide a sort of distorted reality as a result of, the algorithms, the feedback loops, and it, generally speaking, for myself, has resulted in a lower general appreciation for life than when I'm off social media. An example is my high school always had like a 10-day, nature trip kind of situation at the beginning of the year, and every time we got back, it would be a situation where like no one had been on their phone in 10 days and had enjoyed themselves to a massive extent, and were always really grateful for the forced aspect of not having had their phones, being present. And I think that that's something that gets lost on people nowadays. Yeah, that would be my relationship summed up.
Marianne?
I, on the other hand, have a very good relationship with social media. I think it's because of how intentional I am in terms of my use of social media. I think I'm very particular about who I follow, why I'm keeping up with them, what I'm taking from that experience, and how they affect me. Because I think to a certain degree we all influenced. It might not be direct, we might not acknowledge it immediately, but slowly things do begin to influence you. And I'm just super intentional about what do I want to take in. So I have a very healthy relationship with social media. I've never been like bullied, or I've never been followed or following people who experience it badly. I think mostly because most of the people I'm following are people I know. Like I went to primary school with them, I went to high school with them. And so it's like we have a very good relationship, essentially. So I enjoy social media. I mean, I'm not blind to the fact that it does have this false reality, but I think for some people, that's what they need. And what I mean by that is like, I saw this meme, someone had posted and they were like, people are constantly like, oh my gosh, you're so fake on social media, you don't live like that, you're not always there. And it's like when I post a picture in Greece, I'm not saying I'm in Greece every weekend, but I'm here now. Because I know at the end of the day, I'm bored most of the time, I'm sad most of the time in my room. And so when I do have those happy moments, I do want to put them out there and share them with other people. Because how many of us want to cry in front of thousands of people? That's very unlikely. And so when I do have my happy moments, I don't see anything wrong with sharing them.
How many followers do you have?
So I don't like this question because it's like, well, of course you like social media. So I'm currently sitting on 9,700 followers.
Woo! Yeah.
Just casually.
It's not.
Can I get your autograph?
The case though. No, but it hasn't always been like that. I actually just had one picture that kind of blew up. But it's not like, oh no, Marianne's always had followers. These are like new people. And I can't say that before I had, over 9,000 followers, I enjoyed the app less. Yeah.
I have many questions. Really?
Okay, I'm here
Yes,
for it.
Thibaut.
So in those happy moments, do you feel like social media takes you out of the present in a negative way? Or it's like strictly a positive kind of situation where it's like I'm sharing my experience with friends?
So I'll use this trip as an example. And I was in Cape Town earlier this year. And I posted stuff way after the trip. I haven't posted anything on Instagram, just my stories, because that's like, 5 seconds. But it's not like a feed post. And it's because I want to be in the moment. But that doesn't mean when I get back to South Africa, I'm not going to share all the lovely pictures I've taken here.
And how is having so many followers? I mean, I will start now with the questions, and I'll come back to you with the same question about your relationship with social media. But is there any time that you feel or you do actually something different to who you are, to what you like? I mean, do you pretend in some way so that you can share with your followers whatever they would like instead of what you would like to post?
Well, I can't. I enjoy sharing travel and food. That's the type of content I'd prefer to post all the time. But my followers want to see me, not where I'm at and what I'm posting. So I like taking pictures of me too. That's why I'm dolled up right now, because why not look cute? But I do think in that instance, it's like I'm not posting my preferred content. It's not going to stop me from posting the food and stuff. And I like that Instagram has you can hide the like count. So it's like I want people to like my post because they like my post, not because they saw that 500 other people like my post. So I just hide my like count because it's like it if you like it, don't if you don't. And no one really needs to know how many people like the post. It's like you like it and that's what matters. But I think that's another reason I'm not as consistent, because it's not like I'm always going to be taking selfies, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like editing pictures, like of anything. I really enjoy adding filters, sharpening them, making this clearer, that sort of thing. And that's probably why I do have the following I have, because I'm very particular about what I put out there. And it's not even like, oh no, people can't know this. I just prefer it that way. I really like doing it.
Yes, but you look like you can handle it. What about other people, not just young, but especially young, who cannot handle it in, such an effective way? So, Yanni, what do you think? And what's your relationship actually with social media?
Basically, earlier in the day, I was thinking about the way my relationship with social media started, and I remember I was back in primary school, like 5th grade. So it was really in the start of it, and what was interesting to me is that when you get on the first page of every social media platform, they ask you what's your name, what's your age, what do you do, what do you think, like what's on your mind. And we don't usually get that kind of questions when we're with our friends even. So I think that social media have found a way to take advantage of that need that is not fulfilled from our circles and our society. We don't get much attention, deep attention about how we really feel and are. So I think that's the way that social media work in the first stage. So I started lots of accounts because maybe I had the need to be asked about how do I feel. And I opened all of the accounts, and I basically created a blog as well, and started writing early in my, I was 11 or 12 years old, and I wanted everyone to read my posts. So I had written lots of pages with the link of my blog, and I shared them to people, strangers, and I was like, I want you to go read my stuff. So that's the way social media worked for me. It was like a marketplace of ideas, and I wanted to communicate my thoughts and get political and social and all those stuff.
Giannis, I'm actually curious. So I know with Marianne, she says that she edits her pictures. She's very much so a perfectionist. For your blog, do you choose to only showcase your travels, what you're eating, all of the good and like the highlight reel of your life? Or do you also choose to share like other thoughts as well to try to be a little bit more genuine to the day-to-day.
I just remember that my first post was called The Social Network, and it said that it drives us out of our social lives. Thank you for that. I forgot all about it. So that was the first post, and to write it, I had to close all my social accounts for that day. And I used to do that every week, every Sunday. I closed my accounts for just a day to write something, because I had this feeling that I have to be offline to get a real sense of what's happening.
So you have some breaks?
Yeah, every week, once a week.
Okay, interesting. Beatrice?
So I always joke around with them that my relationship with social media is that of a boomer, in the sense that I don't care enough about social media. But just for context, I had a little bit of access to social media growing up, but my complete unfettered access to social media started when I was around 17, 18, which is also around the time that I moved out. So I always feel like that shaped the relationship that I have, in the sense that I would say that my relationship with social media is healthy, in the sense that I've turned my platforms into this really happy space for myself. So all the things that are on my feed right now are things that I want to see every single day, all the time. And so I think that creates an environment for me where social media is a really great escape. So like after a really long day at work, I get to just, chill, sit down somewhere, watch a TikTok or two, check out some stuff on social media, on Instagram, for instance. I really enjoy, content to do with home decor. I learn how to take care of my houseplants on social media. So for me, it's a learning platform, and also my window into the outside world, because, you learn about so much that's happening all over the world from social media. So I get to find out about what's happening in LA while I'm in Nairobi, right? So that's my relationship.
Before asking also the students, or some of them, anyone who would like to share with us also what is your relationship with social media, it's important to mention that we had created, actually you had created, and we just gave you our feedback, a questionnaire a few months ago. And finally, all of us sent it to young people around the world. And there are some very interesting facts, like the vast majority consider social media as their main source of information, and that is the 64.4%. And almost 9 out of 10, they consider social media as a tool of education, 87.5%. Do you agree with all these metrics, with all these statements?
I have thoughts. Several. I think, so I'm from the United States, and I think that's something that we see a lot, especially currently and throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, is that we have a lot of this misinformation. We have a lot of this unverified, unpeer-reviewed information that is just wandering unfettered, especially in the realm of social media. And in the United States, we have freedom of free speech and the right to free speech. So we're currently seeing this clash between free speech and misinformation. So I think the fact that you say that like 9 out of 10 see it as educational, or 60-some% use it for news, is something that for me is very scary, just because it's unchecked entirely, and it's very hard to know who to believe or what is real, especially when you can edit all these photos and have that perfection in photos. So for me, it's something that really is just terrifying. But yeah.
Yes, Marianne, because I would like also, and be prepared, the teachers who are joining today's discussion to tell us what do you think about, especially in terms of the education, and how and if young people or anyone could be educated from social media.
I find that interesting, that you find it so terrifying, because, I mean, in South Africa, there's been this thing where it's like, you hear of something trending before you actually, get it on old school media, so like the newspaper, TV, radio. And that's true, like you will find out that someone jumped off Sandton City on Twitter before it's covered on the news, and mostly because of time. But I don't think, and I do get the whole fake news thing, don't get me wrong, because people aren't there, they just heard someone jumped off the building. But I think we can't be ignorant to the fact that certain things, like, you know how there's rights and responsibilities? You can't just, someone jumped off Santon. Of course you want to know the details. And I think that's when you know that, okay, so tonight, 8 p.m., it's definitely going to pop up on the news. And so it's like you take it upon yourself to get the details from a reliable source. But the fact that someone jumped off the building at Santon, that is the news, that's the headline. And whether you got it from Twitter or TV doesn't change the fact that someone jumped off the building. Only thing that does change is the details, and I do think that's kind of like a responsibility thing, because are we now saying we can't trust young people to look for reliable sources?
You should also join our conference, but in the field of journalism.
I'm also thinking of something in this topic. Basically, at the start, I was thinking that social media are just another outlet for news to get on. But it's not like television, newspapers, because the thing that changes on social media is the algorithms behind it, because they present to you what they know that you like to see. So the basic element that brings that information to you is not, the same for everyone. It's based on what you want to think, and they bring to you not only the prestigious sites and the sites with journalists behind, but it might be just a blog, and you read the title and you don't even click on it, and you think, oh, that's the news, and you agree to it and you share it, and then other people get this information, and might be fake information. And this has had terrible consequences, especially in politics. They have used this technique to turn down governments and bring up, people like Trump.
Let's hear if anybody from you would like to share with us. What do you think about it? Yes. Could we please have the... Okay, please.
I think anyone can say anything they want anywhere. Just social media help them spread it faster. So each one of us, when we read it, we can decide as an individual whether we will believe it or not, or if we will look into it, find a reliable source, and then decide if it's true or not. Because nothing is 100% true. I mean, even in
Media.
Yes, the
Media
news
industry.
and stuff, they filter out the information for political reasons and stuff, so nothing is completely true. So anywhere, any source that we find any kind of news is not reliable. We can't call it reliable because it's not. So I think it's our responsibility to form an opinion over anything we want, and then call ourselves. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah.
Okay. And if you could please give the microphone to the lady, and then any teacher, if someone from you would like to share with us about the education. Yes.
Okay, so the thing I want to say was basically that I don't personally believe there is any kind of free speech on the social media apps. So the information that comes out is always filtered. But the thing is that we as young people, we are still teenagers. I don't think we can process that information so well. You said you have a very good relationship, most of you, with social media. You can actually process it. You know what to take in and what not. But for us, it's quite different, because I feel like we get very addictive to the attention you get from it. The attention from social media, it's a very big thing. And you may hide your likes, as you said, but you can still see them. And it's the attention you get. So when I was off social media for a while, I didn't feel like I didn't get information from all over the world. I felt like I wasn't living the same thing that my friends were living. I felt I felt that I was missing out on something, but not news, you know. I wasn't missing out on that. So that's the main thing, that you get addictive to the likes, you know. They get money and you get attention. That's how it works. It's a compromise, but that's how it is, yes. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask her something?
Yes. Before, give me a second, Marianne. Is there any teacher? Yes. Okay. No, we have some other microphones.
Hi, from Larissa.
Hi.
I will speak not as a teacher, but as a parent. Mr. Vasilopoulos said that he had his first post or social account at the age of 11. Did he have his parents' consent for this post? We have to talk about the parents on this, because most of the students here are until 18 years old. So their parents must agree with their choice. Do their parents know about their social accounts and their posts? Thank you.
We thank you. Yes, Beatrice, and then Marianne and Thibaut.
Yeah. I would really just like to contribute a little bit of something on the issue of parents. Because
what was that?
I feel that I have a good or a healthy relationship with social media right now because my parents were on top of things when I was 13, 14. So there is no way I would have social media accounts in my parents' house without them knowing and just thrive with social media. Never. That would have never happened. So I think that's what shaped you know, who I am now and the relationship that I have now. And so I think it really is a two-way street, so to speak. So, you know, we have young, impressionable teenagers who are obviously feeling this, you know, FOMO, the fear of missing out, and they want to see what all their peers are seeing. And then there's the parents who are like, I want to protect my child from this, you know, big, scary place that's the internet. And, you know, if you've been raised by a boomer, then they do not know what social media is completely. So they just think that it's this really scary place. So I would say that there's responsibility on both ends of the spectrum. And, you know, with parents being the ones who are essentially the responsible ones, the ones whose minds have developed enough to understand the intricacies of social media, then they should be the ones to sort of have a guiding hand in the, you know, in how young people delve into social media, like the first experiences, especially if you're like 10, 11, 12. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Marianne?
I just wanted to know, because I mean, I think Beatrice kind of touched on it, that she didn't feel like, I don't know what's happening in the country. It was just kind of like fear of missing out. But your time off, did it feel like you were regenerating? Did you go back to social media? What was that like? Like, what did that break do for you?
Thank you very much. So I actually, it was amazing. It wasn't much. It was like 4 days, but I felt, you know...
Oh, dude, respect.
What happened at the 4-day mark?
Good question.
No, my mind was kind of off. You know, I could focus on other things. Like I read 3 books in 4 days, which is much. It's not a little. I'm a fast reader, but I'm not that fast. So, so it was nice. But I still felt like I was missing out, and that's the thing I hate most of it about social media, because if you feel like you're missing out on something that's literally a phone, then something wrong with us, you know. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I initially was going to respond to the parent thing, but I think that you covered that really well. I would like to speak to I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm 19, so I would say 3 years ago, 16? Okay, so 3 years ago, like, definitely there was the notion of missing out, but as relationships begin to evolve and like you begin to mature and people start to put more of an emphasis or a value per se on in person, and there does become like an awareness about how followers and likes are not as meaningful. And so as a result, I would say that generally speaking, at least for me, the older I've gotten, the more it's become clear in the people around me that relationships that are important are the ones that you foster in person and are not the relationships that you see online. So, you know, future is bright.
Regarding the role that usually parents have, exactly because I saw that it triggered you in some way. I would like to ask the following. I fully understand because I was also a teenager, and I can understand this pressure, which is coming from parents, of course not always, and of course not from all kind of parents, but it's supposed to come exactly because they would like to protect the kids. But you're a teenager, so you don't want to have this pressure because it's pressure. Are social media, is internet totally safe? And especially on social media, what's going on social media? Exactly because you had, and anyone else could have, the opportunity to follow you, to monitor you, to watch you, but also to communicate to you, to chat with you. So in some way you start building some kind of relationships, potentially. So is all these activities always super safe? Are all these activities safe?
Simply put, no. Absolutely not. Social media is not, the internet is not safe. It is and you know, don't quote me, it is a dark, scary place that no one under the age of 16 should, you know, be in without guidance. I mean, unless you feel like you're completely ready. But you know, I'm such a huge proponent for young people being, you know, the masters of their own fate and, you know, feeling like they can make decisions for themselves, you know, because at the age of 14, 15, everyone is like, you're a child, but you feel like, I'm not really a child. I mean, you're not a grown-up, but you're like, I'm grown. I know what I want. I know what I need. I mean, in some places, you're already starting to figure out what your future career is going to be like. So, yes, the internet is not safe. But on the other hand, I mean, if we were to be very totalitarian about this, we'd be like, okay, all parents don't give your children phones, but that doesn't really make sense. So I look at it in terms of a partnership, because young people need to be able to sort of shift the narrative of their own lives, but they need guidance, you know? So essentially, I would suggest that we do it together so that young people are able to, you know, enjoy the best parts of the internet because it is amazing in so many ways. In as much as it's scary and, you know, there's this risk of, you know, being groomed and all the horrors that there are, and, you know, the fact that you essentially get this front row seat to everything that's going on in the world, wrong in the world, you also get to see all the really beautiful things. And I think, you know, we would be doing young people a disservice if we pull them apart from that, you know.
Joy?
Yeah, so I'm actually really curious for your answer. I know you mentioned earlier that your parents didn't really let you on social media until 17, and now you're advocating, saying like 14, 15, these are people who can make their own decisions. So I'm just curious about how you like reconcile your experience versus your beliefs, or do you believe it should be, instead of necessarily a total ban when like people are younger, more so a guiding relationship? Or
I think owing to my experience, you know, mine, there was no choice. It was, there is no social media for you. That's it. Right? And I remember feeling like, okay, I don't like this, but okay. And so, you know, just because I believe in, you know, the people who come after me should have a better experience, that's why I think they should have a choice in, you know, doing this with their parents. I mean, should we ban social media for young people? No. Should we also let them have an unfettered access to social media at the age of 12, 13, 14? Also no. But I think it's, you know, it's essentially a journey that we should walk together.
Joy, yes, come on, Yanni.
I would like to add a different perspective to that. We're speaking about social media and the internet as, you know, the enemies out there. They can be. But it's not a given that the family or the close ones to you are, you know, allies all the time. So my experience was that I was really young, discovering my sexuality and that I'm gay, and I was in an environment and in a school and in a place that there would be no acceptance. So I had to find my allies out there. And social network gave me a way to do that, and I reached out to people my age. I saw that they're more than me, and it might be okay to be like me, because I wasn't sure about that back then, and I had to get some feedback from somewhere.
And you felt free?
It felt more free. Yeah.
Joy, have you ever felt any kind of pressure, let's say? It's the same question I did earlier to Marianne. So that if there's any need to pretend on social media that you're someone else, or that you finally post something different from what you would like to post, exactly because this will take actually more likes.
Yeah, so to start off, my relationship with social media is one that has changed. I used to be very much so addicted to social media because it's so easy, right? Like, you see the numbers are there, you know when it goes up, you get a notification. It's so easy to be addicted. And with my like STEM brain, I was like, I know that 7 is bigger than 6. Like, it's gone up. Like, I'm popular. So I was very much so addicted to social media when I was younger. But I think that throughout the years, I've really seen how much of a harmful impact it's had, and now really it's out of sight, out of mind. So with respect to pressure, I most definitely did feel pressure when I was still very heavily on social media, because I felt a pressure for my new post to have more likes than my last post. And if it didn't, I would be like, what did I do wrong? It has to be me, right? Like, if I could do the last one and if I could get hundreds, then why does this one only get like 10 or 20, right? So it definitely did pressure me. And I also felt really, really just insecure, because I felt like I kept having to post a highlight reel of my life. Nobody wants to see me crying. I don't want to post that I am crying to everyone. So I'm just posting a highlight reel, and when I look back on it, I know a lot of people call it video journalism, or they look back and it's memories that they had, but it's incomplete to me. And so that's more or less why I'm not necessarily on social media as much. Thibaut, you have thoughts?
Yeah, no, well, I think that is one end of the spectrum, but I don't think that being absolutist about social media really makes sense, because at the end of the day, it's about how you're using social media, as has been pointed out. And I think that social media can, like, if you look at it as more of a tool than anything else that needs to be learned how to use, initially with the guidance of someone who is familiar with it, then it can be something that is very positive. And whether that is, you know, connecting with the community that you need to feel a part of, like Giannis, or it's keeping up with family, you know, intermittently while you study abroad, when you know how to use social media and you understand that it comes with certain setbacks, an intentional use is healthy, I think. That being said, as you've pointed out, it's very easy to fall into the traps of social media, which are, you know, the dopamine hacked, you know, human nature aspect of it. So yeah,
Marianne?
I just want to touch on the whole likes thing because, I mean, you see people getting like 1,000 likes, 600, even 300. That's a lot. But I read, well, someone actually said to me, they saw it on social media, and they were like, we really pretend 20 or 30 or even 40 likes are so little, and it's just like, oh, damn it. You know, I only got 40 likes. But reality is, if just today 40 people came up to you and told you they like how you look, you'd be incredibly overwhelmed. You wouldn't think, just 40 people told me I look good. Like, 40 people is a lot. And just because we're seeing the Kylie Jenners and Kim Kardashians of the world with thousands and millions of likes doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge the fact that 50 people out there saw this and thought it was good, because 50 is a lot. Like I said, if you're walking down the corridor and 50 people came up to you and said, dude, you look amazing, tell me you wouldn't be overwhelmed or think, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Highlight of my day. Highlight.
Sorry, do you think that every post that you liked because you liked it?
Oh, I make sure I follow people whose posts, that's why I said I'm intentional about what I consume. So I follow people who I know I want to see on my feed.
As one of your followers, I have mindlessly liked more than one of your photos, and that's no dig to you, but I think that speaks to how a lot of young people, you know, deal with social media.
But you're one of 9,000, so.
I think that it's important to have the expert now with us. So, Dr. Koplevitz, thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm mentioning that exactly because we had the opportunity to have a series of discussions during the dialogues. Thank you so much. You're so polite. During other dialogues events about mental health. So it's very important from your side to share with us, how do you think all these ideas, approaches, perspectives that these young people have already shared with us? I mean, your experience in the field of mental health, especially working closely with young people, teenagers, children, and not just with them through your organization, Child Mind Institute, is super valuable to be added to today's discussion.
So let's do some facts. Thibaut just mentioned something about dopamine. So every time you get a like, your brain actually responds to it. It feels good. You get a charge. In the same way, by the way, if someone walking down the street said, you look amazing, that should be the highlight of your day, because that's very validating and your brain recognizes that. So that means that after a while, your brain needs more and more dopamine. So you're absolutely right. 40 likes doesn't give you the same charge as 1,000 likes. So we should know that social media has an effect on our brain. Number two is social media does have a positive when we are looking for community. So if we are feeling isolated, when we feel alone in the world that we live in, Giannis is the positive example of how you can find community that can validate you, that can make you feel more secure. However, there is the dark side. So we have studies that have shown, particularly during COVID, that young people under the age of 24 who use social media more than 8 hours a day, it's defined as problematic internet usage, can have ill effects. Now, not on everyone. That's the impressive part. So if you're an average person, believe it or not, you're doing 8 hours, you must wonder what you're not doing when you're doing that, but it doesn't make you worse. Surprisingly, if you're anxious, it doesn't make you worse. I would have bet on anxiety because of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. So if I'm already anxious, that should be. But it turns out that if you have an existing depression or you have ADHD, it is toxic. It makes your symptoms much worse if you are on social media 8 hours or more a day.
So is there any rule, let's say, or what I mean, is there any specific time that it's good for a kid, I mean, to spend on social media?
Oh, I think there's the positives that you do stay connected to the world, that you are able to keep up, that you feel a part of a community. But I think if you're a parent and you know your child is 11, 12, 16 and has ADHD, that they should be aware that this could be toxic to them. Or if they are suffering from a mood disorder, that this is a negative. Versus, by the way, for instance, if you have an anxiety disorder and you smoke pot, you are more likely to have a panic disorder or a panic attack than if you don't have an anxiety disorder and smoke marijuana. So a parent needs this information. Excuse me, and I think you're 100% right that parents have to be involved. They have to supervise this activity, certainly until you're mature enough to know the danger how addictive it could be and how dangerous it can be to some kids.
That would be actually my following question. I mean, the role of parents. You heard with all of us how sensitive but also fine line is what they will allow their kids to do in terms of social media and its use or not.
Right, so let's remember what adolescence is like. A lot of these people are still in it. For most of us who are adults, we'd like to forget our adolescence. It is a pretty challenging time. You have to, first of all, get used to the physical changes. You have to kind of separate from mom and dad, if not physically. You're trying to experiment with different music, different styles, different kinds of thoughts. You have to get a social network. You have to figure out who are going to be your friends. You have to figure out your sexuality, what turns you on. And last, you have to figure out some vocation. So in 9th grade, it might be geometry, but by 22, I'm going to be a teacher, a doctor, etc. So those 5 things are going on while a tremendous amount of hormonal things are happening. And part of that is to push away and be independent. That doesn't mean parents should say, go for it. Parents have to find that balance of I'm observing, I'm actually supervising, but I'm trying not to control. And if you go off the guardrails, that's when parents say, no, stop. I just can't permit this to happen to you because it's my job to keep you alive and keep you safe, and what you're doing is too dangerous. But it's a difficult waltz and dance, and it's one of the reasons why I think parents of adolescents find it so challenging, and I think why adolescents find it so challenging to work collaboratively with their parents.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. And it might be very interesting at some point to check also and have a discussion about our parents' social media accounts. Huh? That would be very interesting. So, do you want finally to share with us? Come on. Oh. Come on. Yanni, Joy, Beatrice, Marianne, Thibaut, to ask any questions, especially to the students. They are here with us. Or if you would like to ask our speakers anything according to what you have already heard, or the question we had about the hour you spend per day or per social media account.
Does what we're talking about feel relevant to you guys? There's like a 3-year difference maybe going on. Yeah?
Can I ask them a question?
Sure.
So a lot of the discussion is around parental guidance and control, and it seems as if the idea is that whatever parents say, we will just follow. I don't know about you guys, but I know within my community, when we were like 14, 15, sure, to their face, it's whatever sorry, mom and dad, it's whatever they'll follow. But at the same time, there's a lot of rebelling going on at that stage. So do you feel like the advice that's being given, this idea of like parental guidance, do you feel like it will actually work, or do you feel like there are alternative solutions that might be better or prove more cohesive?
Hi. I wanted to say that it's true that many teenagers see their parents as an opponent, but it's parents' work to make us feel that we are on the same team, that they need to make us understand that what they do is for our own good, and that we need to hear why we can do that. We can hear, don't do that, don't do this. We want a why behind all of this, to understand, and we need parents to be understanding too, and explain to us, and be on our own shoes.
So do you feel like it should be like a dedicated conversation that you have instead of in the moment, why did you post this? You shouldn't have done it. It should be a conversation ahead of time? Do you feel like there's like an age that you feel like that conversation should occur?
I think that when you are a teenager, you are mature enough to understand what your parents are willing to say. But if you are 12, you can't understand. Even if they are willing to explain to you and say to you why, you're not in a position to understand. But when you are 16, 15, 17, you can understand, and you are mature enough to think by yourself that this is not good for me, this is wrong.
Thank you.
Beatrice?
So my question really does feed into what Joy just asked. And I know I'm a huge proponent of you need to do it with your parents, but I think this question is going to be for my teenagers. How would you want this done? I mean, she's mentioned conversations, right? And conversations are really great, but sometimes they don't really work, right? So as a young person, if you were to do this with your parent, for instance, or a guardian, how would this look like for you? Or, just off the top of your head, what would you like? Because, like I said, I don't want to be the ones, giving you the solution. I think it's best when young people are the ones who are saying, okay, this would work for me, this wouldn't work for me.
Hello. I think that when you want to have a conversation with your parents, first of all, it must be you must be calm without fights, etc. You should change your thoughts about the topic, and especially for social media. And everybody should also analyze the advantages and disadvantages of what to do in an occasion or something.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So before she goes, what I'm hearing is we need to both come with an open mind to this conversation. Are you hearing me, parents? Open mind. And pros and cons.
Hi, my name is Natalia and I am from Rhodes. I wanted to comment something about the girl said. You said that at the age of 12, you're not mature enough to have this kind of conversations. Then how you are mature enough to have a social account? I don't think that it's only with the age. It's about how you are raised up and how you are communicate with your parents. So you have to start talking about these kind of things before have an account. And if you have an account, you can't just... I wouldn't listen to my mother if she said, just don't do that. Why do not do that?
Okay. So...
I would also like to... Oh, sorry.
So what I'm hearing, and I'm kind of going to direct my energy this side because it's looking a bit more parenty than studenty. But to me, this is everything I'm hearing here is kind of like the sex conversation in South Africa. It's like when you have a child, you know you're going to eventually have to talk about the birds and the bees. Like that's going to happen. And I guess with the evolution of social media, it's something you need to gradually talk to them about, get them to it. Because I know in South Africa, it's like, you're not allowed to date boys. What does that boy want with you? And then when you're 25, it's like, so when are we having kids? Are you getting married? And so that's
Where's your husband?
Where's your husband? We want to meet him. And same with social media. It's like you're supposed to one day be at an age where you're mature enough to understand what you're supposed to consume and not be influenced and not care so much about the numbers. But that type of thing doesn't happen overnight or with just one conversation. It's kind of like a step-by-step thing. Like, okay, so you spoke about TikTok the other day. What about it? You know, just kind of, because I remember Kim Kardashian and Kanye, they're like fighting about their first daughter getting TikTok, but Kim's just like, it's going to happen behind her back anyway, because one of their kids did that and he was like spilling all the beans about the family. And so you don't want that type of thing where your child's just posting things that you're unfamiliar with, and now it's like, I didn't know you were doing that. It's like, but you said I shouldn't and I wanted to. Because at the end of the day, I firmly believe people will do what they want to do at the end of the day. So the biggest thing is to see how can you support them to do it the right way.
My last question to all of you, because unfortunately we have to close today's discussion, has to do with the quality of communication. I mean, we hear usually adults mentioning the way that young people these days communicate. Actually, they do mention that there is no communication, that teenagers and young people don't know how to communicate. I mean, when they meet each other in person, they're isolated and always online on their social media accounts or on the internet in general and stuff like that. So they cannot feel and they cannot upgrade their emotions. So they're totally different in terms of how they communicate overall, and not just, you know, when they are out with their friends, for example, but in a more holistic way. And I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on that.
So we're a live demonstration of how that works. So we met about 6 months ago online because we had to prepare for SNF Nostos conference. And we hadn't seen each other in person for all that time. But when we arrived here and we met at outside SNF Cultural Center, we hugged each other in a huge group hug. And we have laughed with each other, we have cried with each other's stories.
That's true. When they met in person, it was like they had so many years to meet each other. I mean, and this never happened.
Yeah, we have shared
you didn't even know each other, yeah.
So, you know, it's not about social media, but it's about the person.
Yeah, but somebody could say that you had met each other, yeah, virtually, but under a very specific and very organized and safe in some way through our contribution.
Correct.
What do you believe, Joy, for example, is happening overall in terms of the way that young people, all of you, and especially teenagers, communicate?
So I'm going to take a note out of Mary Ann's book and direct comments this way. Give us some credit. Like, we do try to communicate what we're feeling, but at the same time, you guys remember what it's like when you were in your teens, and there's so many changes that are happening. There are physical changes, there are environmental changes, there are a lot of changes that are happening around us, and throw in a pandemic, and you're asking why we're easily agitated. So I think that we are trying to communicate. I think that, like Thibaut said, it's the quality of communication that you have that's also important online. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair to necessarily, and I'm surprised I'm saying this because I've been the one who's like boos social media. But I think that there genuinely isn't just like a blanket statement that's applicable here. I don't think social media is across the board bad. I use it to connect with my grandparents. It's the reason why I can speak fluent Mandarin. 大家好. But I think really, give us some credit. We're trying to speak. I know we might seem agitated at times, but please don't take it personally. We are trying to communicate if you'll let us, and we appreciate your patience in doing so.
Would you like to add anything? So-and-so.
I think that the layer of removal that social media provides has resulted in a distaste for confrontation among young people, which has made it so that when you go up to tell someone that they're, you know, pretty in real life, it's like, okay, like, that was weird. I don't know what to do about that. Or like, you know, it's like, or when you need to express, like, you know, serious emotional things, it's like there's this like lack of like I think social media provides sort of a more controlled space for feelings. Things are more refined. Whereas in person, it's like very much raw. And I think that that aspect of things has sort of been cut back. People's comfort with that. And so in that way, I think that social media has influenced the way that we communicate. That being said, I do appreciate Joy's perspective, and I think that, we're getting there.
Thibaut, Marianne, Yanni, Joy, Beatrice. Come on.
Yeah.
We're over.
Okay,
You
so
see that?
yeah, very,
say it's red.
very, very quickly. I think that young people communicate. It just looks very different than what we're used to. So
I agree with that.
They're communicating. They're talking to each other. They're talking amongst each other. They're talking to us. But because we don't necessarily, recognize what that looks like, so we're just like, okay, they're not talking. But I think my challenge to all of us would be to, maybe, get our heads out of or our noses out of the books a little bit and try to be a bit more intentional about recognizing the fact that how young people communicate now is not how they did it. Why would I say we? I'm so young. But yeah, how people communicated when they were teenagers 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago is not what it's going to look like right now. So I would also agree with her and say, let's go easy on the young ones a little bit, and also just recognize that, we're in a digital boom. Like, technology has done amazing things. So young people are communicating in ways that were not there before. And it's really just advancing every single day,
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. This is the advisory committee, the youth advisory committee of this year's Nostos, the first actually time that we had this opportunity, and it was an amazing experience working with you, having your feedback, and I'm sure that first of all, we're going to continue our discussion, and we're inviting all of you outside because, yes, this timer it started getting me very nervous. So all of us, let's go outside and have this discussion, continue this discussion. Thanks again for your contribution. Thanks all of you for joining us today. Thanks, of course, all of you who joined virtually our discussion. And before we move outside to our live music and DJ sets, as you know, we also have all these amazing drones and the unique show that will take place. But before that, let me invite the SNF, the co-president actually of the SNF, Andreas Dracopoulos, on stage for his closing remarks of the conference. Thank you all.
Hi. Thank you all for being here. Another Nostos has come to an end, Nostos 22. It's nice to, nobody wants to talk about COVID anymore. But COVID has been a reality with us for the last 2 years. And the two best defenses against COVID was what? To put a mask on, which covers your nose, through which you're supposed, as human beings, to breathe, and not socialize, which is basically how our soul breathes. So after 2.5 years of what I call a wounded humanity, it's places like that and experiences like that that makes us feel alive again. And it was great. I don't know who was there last night when Locomondo was playing at the Great Lawn. It was an amazing scene to see a lot of people, a lot of young people together enjoying themselves. So hopefully welcome back to the post-COVID era. So this year, the Nostos was all about health. And we started on health at the SNF, the initiative, before COVID. And after COVID, of course, it has become much more important, and everybody, I think, feels the need to follow health and how we can be better prepared for the next COVID. Hopefully, it's going to be 10, 20, 30 years away. But our health initiative as a foundation is going to be the one that is going to keep us very busy for the next 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know who had the opportunity to follow the conference yesterday. We wanted to share with the public, with you, exactly what we're trying to do and how we're trying to contribute to, I think, something which is happening all around, which is how to bring, number one, you need accessible health, and you need quality accessible health. And also you need to do it right, and you need to bring science closer to society. And I think that need has also been better appreciated after COVID. So it's been, I think, a very successful Nostos conference, the way that we see it. What made it more successful was the fact that this year we had a lot of young people join us. And a lot of young people join us both for the conference and for the overall activities. And it's, you know, the young people, it's all about you, what we're all trying to do. We've been where you are. You've come, hopefully, to where we are. And the idea is, of course, you're having to grow up earlier than we had to grow up, which is good and bad. And I know you think we're all boomers. That's how my kids call me, a boomer. And you're right. But you still, if I were you, I would try to listen, if not to learn from us, to listen to our experiences. And then you can analyze them and deal with them the best way you seem fit. But you still need to listen and share our experiences. And we have a lot to learn from you too. So it's good to see, you know, we've heard a lot about generations fighting during COVID also for many reasons. It's about time to bring the generations all together because we all have something to learn from each other. So thank you to all for being here. Many of you came from other countries, from all over the, you know, across the Atlantic. And we really appreciate that. Because again, you can have a beautiful building, you can have a beautiful conference. The people are the ones who bring the soul to the conference. The people are the ones who bring this, you know, who bring life to a building, even if a building is as beautiful, because it is a beautiful building, the SNFCC. I wanted to say quite a few thank yous, and it might be a bit, you know, long, but after, you know, behind every thank you is a person, and behind that person are very long hours, weeks, days, months, that we have all tried to make this an experience which may seem to you like easy. You know, it's a Niarchos Foundation, they have money, it's a building. So what? Of course, it's easy. It's not easy. It really is not easy. So I do want to say thank you, to share with you the names and the organizations who have been behind all these. And it's basically 2.5 days. But there's been months that we have been preparing for it. We usually start the day after the previous Nostos, and it gets pretty hectic. So, with your patience, please, a few thank you. To the group that I also mentioned yesterday at the beginning of at my opening remarks, at the beginning of the conference, the people who have really helped give life to the health initiative that we are trying to do. Panos Papoulias, Eliana Konialis, Thanasis Troboukis, Dimitris Bounias. We can hold the applause for the end. Panagiotis Pandelatos, Giorgos Bousdoukos, Lena Vlavianou, Asimina Koutroubousi. Also, Johns Hopkins University. Johns Hopkins really honored us, both as SNF and Greece. They came here and they had the first board meeting in Greece. The whole board came over, which was basically to celebrate over 25 years of collaboration that we at the SNF have had with them in many different projects. And you've seen also the the interactive global health data experience, which is on the other building at the library, and it's going to be open until July 3rd. And I recommend to everybody, but to you also, to the younger people, to go and see it. It's interesting. We all talk about data. Data on its own, which is another issue, everybody talks about the importance of data. There can be a lot of data. The thing is, what do you do with it? It's like power and money. What do you do with it? So data, what do you do with it? So I think I strongly recommend that you take a look at it. At the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, which, again, for those who don't know, it's not us, it's not the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, it's an asset that belongs to the state, to the people. We would like to thank Eli Andreopoulou, Christina Vasilikou and her team, Dimitra Kalantoni and her team, Gabriela Triandafilis, Rula Kokota and the facilities management team, Stavros Stavropoulos and his security team, Yannis Kardimitropoulos, Natasha Zachariudaki. We'd like to thank Yoros Koumendakis and everybody at the National Library, at the Greek National Opera, Philippos Tsiboglou, who runs the National Library of Greece, Anna-Kynthia Bousdoukou and the SNF Dialogues team. You just experienced that. The whole IMED team. IMED is a sister organization of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. They had an amazing contribution this year to the SNF Nostos, and as I mentioned, Dimitris Bounias and Thanasis Troboukis, but also Maria Kokali, Vaso Patsomitru, Panagiotis Menegos, and Evgenios Kalofolias. On our own foundation team, Παναγιώτης Παντελάτος, Γιώργος Μπουσδούκος, Ασημίνα Κουτρουμπούση, Λένα Βλοβιανού, Βασιλική Δραπανοπούλου, Άννα Μαρία Κοσμόγλου, Βασίλης Λαγιώτης, Αλέξια Βασιλικού, Κωνσταντίνος Σταματόπουλος, Χριστίνα Ατάρογλου, Μαρία Σιδέρη, Θανάσης Πολίτης, Ιωάννα Κιωσέ και Τιτίκα Εμμανουήλ. Regeneration and Progress, run by our close advisor and friend, Takis Koulouvaris. He and his team is the one who does, among other things, we spoke about the mobile medical units, we talk about all the projects, but they also do the run. I don't know how many of you did the run on Wednesday night, but it's because of him, Stavros Boglou, and their team that they organize that every year. Also Panagiotis Giannakis, Dimitris Giannakakis, and the Field of Life, another sister organization, and the Special Olympics. Would like to thank, there's a production behind all of this, and like every year, and we don't take them for granted, but they're really amazing. Viewmaster events, Kostas Haranabidis, Yannis Zarganis, and everybody, all their colleagues. Also would like to run again, the run, which a newspaper had an article today about how upset the municipality was because we closed down some streets, which they had given the okay, but that's okay. So we would like to thank a CAV, Dr. Piros, who is head of the medical services, Hellenic Police and General Konstantinos Skoumas, the Governor Giorgos Dritsakos from the Hellenic Civic Aviation Authority. You might say, what does that have to do with anything? Drones, they don't just fly. You need a lot of work behind it. And the Municipal Police of Athens and Chief Yorgos Vlachos. And of course, as I mentioned, the youth, they made a big difference. The Youth Advisory Committee, you met everybody here. So thank you to all of them for coming. The Nostos Pop-Up Radio. These are kids that are from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, who together with the Radio Pandio, they created the pop-up radio. And I would like to call the names. Sipatsiwe Foma, Siya Mokoena, Puselecho Giane, Zanele Molo, Sikelela Halom, Mulemba Mulando, Esther Silala, Purity Mafunga, Jobri Nirenda, Sisoni Banda. Again, they're all from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, together from Radio Padio, Chrysula Marinu, Andreas, Giorgio Skinner, Vasia Themida Karali, Melpo Kondogianni, Nikos Naum. Thank you all, because, again, I hope you have enjoyed it, but you've made a big difference to the conference. You made a big difference to see a lot more young people being engaged and embracing the idea and the vision and the passion of Nostos. I do have to say that we were thinking about next year because it took a big toll on us this year. And we were saying, I was planning to say, we're not going to do it next year. See you next year.
We run the streets of Africa, from Ivory Coast to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Zambia, South Africa, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Niger, and the Central African Republic. You better not touch that dial, because we're here to amplify youth voices. Amplify youth voices. The Children's Radio Foundation.
Hi everyone, my name is Ras, #RasThatGuy. I am from Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. I'm a young reporter for Children's Radio Foundation. We amplify youth voices.
Hi, my name is Jobin Makone. I am from Bousdoukou Township of Zambia, a youth reporter from Weatherton's Youth Link Hub radio show. You are listening to the Children's Radio Foundation. #We amplify youth voices.
And welcome back to the Children's Radio Foundation. We are here amplifying youth voices, and this is, of course, the last segment right after the SNF Dialogues that were just hosted at the Alternatives stage by Anna-Kynthia. Miss Anna-Kynthia, they're doing justice to social media as far as all of health is concerned. I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff that we just discovered there, Esther, and we're going to be coming through and wrapping everything up. But before we do all of that, we're just going to do a little bit more of a flashback into social media. I think it's also very much an important thing that we tackle and talk about social media.
Yeah, it's very important that we look at issues that surround social media and how we can use social media in the dissemination of information around health. And just like has it been highlighted in the talks that we had, social media is a very important tool that you can use when it comes to disseminating information, just like I mentioned.
But in as much as it's a good thing, there are also disadvantages. Just like everything, you know, when you eat a lot of food, you get tummy ache. So it also has disadvantages. It also has cons in as much as there's good things. So there's bad habits. I must say I'm a very big person with bad habits. Yes, I mark present on that list. What did you say are your social media bad habits?
I think my bad habits when it comes to social media, I basically can't stay off social media. It's like I want to be there 24/7. Just that I have to work, I have to do schoolwork and all that. That's the only reason I stay off social media. But I scroll through social media throughout the day. I look at memes. It's like my thing. I want to be there.
All the time.
All the time.
And what's funny is the fact that before they started the dialogue, they said we must just check on our phones the screen time that we use on social media alone. And if I'm going to check that on my phone, I'm definitely sure I'm not going to be happy with what I'm going to be seeing there, because I fall short of that. And it's something that also contributes to health and being in a position where your stuff doesn't add up. You wake up in the morning, you're so tired because you were just on your phone all the time. And
I kind of feel social media has contributed a lot into how people respond to their health issues. It has also contributed to a lot of mental stress, especially amongst adolescents and the youth. Because you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think of doing is checking your social media.
Exactly.
Who's liked my picture?
Yes.
Who's tagged me in what?
Comments and
what
all of
meme have I
those,
received?
you know?
Yeah.
And that actually mostly results in mental health.
Yeah.
You find yourself not being mentally because you are so much on social media. You are so much making sure that your life is centered around social media, as if it's like a tool that guides your life, as if it's like something that you legit cannot live without. So I know for sure that in as much as I'm having bad habits with social media, there's quite a lot of stuff that I actually learned as far as statistics and facts are concerned. And mostly, it's not good to be on your phone 24/7 because it contributes to the health of people. Things you see on social media always have an effect, and those effects mostly affect you mentally, which is the next question that I also want us to chat about. Would you say there is a direct link between social media and mental health?
I feel there's a direct link when it comes to social media and one's health.
Yeah.
I'll give an example of myself. I'm quite sensitive to stuff that people say. So if I go on my social media and I find a post that talks about something that I might not relate to or something that I might feel is controversial to what I believe in, I tend to think about it so much that at the end of the day, I may just end up being stressed, being depressed because of one small post that I saw on social media. So I feel there's a very direct link when you look at social media and mental health, and most people don't realize that link is what actually destroys them.
And
so I don't know,
again,
do you experience the same thing? Or maybe it's just me?
Yeah, I do actually, because I remember this once I was telling this to my friend, that in as much as it's a good thing to be on social media, I mean, you can get a lot of following, you can get a lot of tags, which is a good thing to you, I mean, for you. But at the very same time, it's a bad thing because in the end, it contributes so much to your own individual mental health, especially if it starts being toxic and you legit cannot live without being on your phone. And the moment you see something that really chaps your hide and you do not even know what to do, you just find yourself losing it and start getting depressed, start getting anxiety and all of these mental health conditions, disorders, because of what you see and read on social media. So that's how much it affects us. You know, and we actually took it to the conference. I was going to say the streets, but we have the streets of the Athens conference, the SNF Center.
I think it's right to say the streets of Athens.
Yes, because we heard a lot of people, the question, as far as young people. I mean, if you were president of
social media,
what exactly would you change? Yeah, what would you change?
Well, it has definitely had an impact on my mental health, a negative one, for sure, because the new generation that grows up with their phones and social media accessible to them at all times, they view a reality that is not real, and nobody has really paid any attention to that because we are the first generation to really go through it. So I think it's of great importance, and I don't know what can be done about it, but it definitely impacts a lot of young people in our days.
Social media surely affects my mental health, mainly because everybody on social media seems very happy all the time, and I think that I should be happy when sometimes I'm really not, and I have to try hard to accomplish that, and I feel left out. Sometimes I experience FOMO, fear of missing out, because I see other people having fun together, and I feel like I'm alone and I don't know how to help it. So that's mainly the reason. I feel bad, and it really affects my mental health, but I think every teenager experiences that.
Thank you.
I think that personally social media created me anxiety and stress because everything on social media is perfect and is illustrated in a way that I think it's not real, because in life there is everything. There are sad people, disappointed, ugly, if someone could say that, because everyone on social media is beautiful, is with filters, but that's not true. That's not the life. So yeah, I think it creates me an anxiety about also the velocity that things are going to evolve. Also in career, sometimes from LinkedIn possibly, you see everyone gets promoted in other work environments, but you don't know what's happening in real life, that if they are if they had a bad employer or a year of a low salary. You just say, I'm promoted, okay, but what was the cost? It depicts a partial reality, not the overall image.
Social media create a wrong and fake dimension of life. So all this situation make me more anxious. Because in general everyone looks happy and without problems and a perfect lifestyle, and I think that is not true.
Hello, hi. My name is Piseleto Shot Ganchiani from Klopper Village in South Africa. I am a young reporter from Mute Community Radio Station under the short Swada. You are listening to Children's Radio Foundation. # We Amplify Youth Voices.
Mchani wonse inechisoni banda nafuma kundola mchalo cha Zambia timsepela ususela kumulabasa uitwa Snf pali programu iitwa Youth Bazi kwa imine kutika kumulabasa wabana abanono ibukisheni ukutila kumulabasa wabanono tukusha ichunda cha mashiwi ya nisepela.
We're right back, and yes, those were the voices of people as far as they relate to the topic that we asked. And now, there's quite a very controversial thing I want to know. You know, presidents and government are usually the leaders of everything and leaders of everyone. They're the ones who make the rules. How we wish we as young people were also at that level. But if you were president, Esther, if you were actually just president, I would say for a day, but if I'm going to say for a day, it wouldn't add up really. But if you were president at some point, what do you think you would change, or what do you think exactly you would enforce on as far as social media is concerned?
So if I was president, I think there's a lot of stuff that I would want to change around social media. But one thing that stands out for me is, I guess, regulating how much time. I don't know how best that can be done, but maybe collaborating with network providers when it comes to allowing the data hours or how much time you spend on social media. Maybe they should let the network providers open their internet in the morning, then immediately it's like 10 p.m. they close it, because most people just spend time on social media because you have unlimited access to the internet services. So maybe just that collaboration between the network providers and
But sometimes you find that there's actually reason why people get to even stay up and use those networks, so that they get to be in a point where they can always just do homework or do schoolwork or absolutely each and everything as far as that is concerned. And yes, I really believe we are in a position where we can be joined by the co-president. Yes, and he's going to have a little chat with us, and quite a lot of stuff is happening. Hectic stuff, I must say, and I'm really excited for this moment. This has to be what I've been looking forward to doing during the course of this whole events during the course of this whole event. And he's right here. He goes by the name of Mr. Andreas Andreas Mr. Andreas, and he is the SNF co-president. All right? So he's going to come here and tell us a little bit more about all of this. Mr. Andreas, welcome. How are you? And, you know, honestly, I think it must have been quite a very controversial thing to plan something this huge, you know. Would you tell us a little bit more about the health conference and its background?
So thank you for having me, and thank you for coming here, and thank you for doing this pop-up radio, and I mean it. As I said in my closing remarks, it's all about, you know, great to see young people embracing and being engaged. So, and it's the first year, because we've been having the Nostos since 2012, so we're at 10 years, and it's the first year that we had so many young people interact, embrace, engage in various capacities, including yours. That was the first time we had you. It was an idea by our sister organization, IMED, for you to be here and collaborate with Pantheon. And it's all about working together, collaborations, and engaging and embracing the issues that are going to deal. You know, these are things that you're going to deal with, the young people. So it's good that you are getting into it from an early age.
Yeah, I must say, very interesting. And because young people are really the core, because from being young, we get to be in positions where we are now as old and
I would say
experienced.
You have to be careful. You don't grow too old too soon. Enjoy your youth. Yes, life is faster, life is more complicated. So the sooner you get to know what's going on, the better.
Yeah.
But you don't know everything. Young people don't know everything.
So we get to learn, actually.
So my point is that we all have to learn from one another, including intergeneration. And you have to learn from us, if not actual things, at least share the experiences that we have lived, so you can use them as guidelines for your life.
For our lives.
And we have a lot to learn from you, including enjoying your passion and your enthusiasm. So thank you for that.
And so looking at this conference, it's a big thing, and you know it's been happening over the years, and this year it's happening. Would you say you've met the objective that you set when starting the conference, when it comes to engaging the youth?
So it's interesting, because we started the conference 2012. The idea then was Greece had just started its socioeconomic crisis, a very bad socioeconomic crisis. And we thought we need a platform to get people together, to talk about it, to bring things to the surface. You know, as they say, to solve a problem, first you have to know you have it. And you have to bring it up to the surface and then have a safe space, public, open platform, that you can get people to get together and discuss thoughts and ideas. You don't need to find all the answers, but you need the platform to get together. So we started like that, and then it became an annual event. And as I said in my closing remarks, we were so, because again, it all looks beautiful. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to come here to do that. So with our focus on the health initiative, we thought for a moment we're not going to do it next year because we needed a break. But partly because of the youth engagement and enthusiasm, we're going to do it next year too. So we'll continue.
I'm literally grateful for that opportunity.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And to just highlight, because there's been a lot of stuff that has been addressed, if you would say one thing stands out for you,
Very good question.
What is that one health issue that stands out for you?
By far, it's called mental health. By far, we spoke about it in the foundation, and that's why we're focusing on it a lot. I think, as I keep saying, if COVID did one good thing, was that the stigma is off mental health. COVID, because of COVID was not the cause, was the excuse. Mental health issues touched almost every family. So everybody has needs to talk about it, to bring it up to the surface, and find ways to deal with it, which means you need a better infrastructure. So mental health would be the number 1, 2, and 3, not only for this year, but going forward.
So do you have any plans of expanding the global awareness around mental health besides having this kind of conference there?
So that's an interesting question, because again, we don't know we usually have an idea of the title for next year. This year, partly because we were thinking that this is going to, we're going to take a year off, so we don't. mental health has been a big part of our health initiative as we expanded, both vertically and horizontally, geographically. So maybe this is where it all started. Maybe it is about mental health, but we'll see, because we're not experts in it. It's an idea that we really believe that it's such an important issue that deals with so many other things, including crime, equity, health itself. So there are so many things that come behind that follow mental health. So maybe.
Definitely. And to come to think of it, a lot of people here are going to go out and spread the word. But those people that we are targeting alone, who are affected by mental health, sexual reproductive health, and all of the other different health spectrums, they are not here. Would you say there's a plan that you guys are having to have them incorporated and included in the initiative?
The plan includes what you're doing. So if you can take the word out, we're not selling a product. We're not there to make money. All we do is we give. So any ideas or any ways to help spread the word, we try on our own to do the best we can. But so things like that really help spread the news. And it's not about having the answers; it's about having a platform to feel secure to talk about it.
And to just wrap it up, because I believe you might have to dash. Yes, we asked a lot of people this. I know, Esther, you probably have a question, but I think it's going to be interesting.
I don't like the smile on your faces. You're both smiling. Okay, go.
We actually asked a lot of people about this, ne? What the individual bad health habits are. I know for myself, one for sure, that I love social media a lot, and that actually affects my health in the end. What would you say is your bad health habits you want to change, or you're working on changing?
Bad health habit? My weight. I want to lose some, weight. I've always done that. I've always tried. Other bad one, I bite my nails. I have an addiction. I bite my nails.
So after the health
I would like to
conference,
lose
you
weight.
plan on changing? After the conference, after learning about health, you plan on working on your bad habits?
We'll see. It's like New Year's. Every New Year's resolution.
But yes, honestly, I really wish we had so much more time.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
Yes.
But we can do it again, and hopefully you can come back next year.
We would love to.
We'd
be honored.
And thank you again, because it's like you have added a dimension which is, it's very important.
Thank you
and I
so
hope
much.
that you also enjoyed the same.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Have a great day further.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we had it. His name is Mr. Andreas Dracopoulos, the SNF co-president. We're going to quickly go. We're going to be back with a whole lot more right after this.
We run the streets of Africa, from Ivory Coast to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Zambia, South Africa, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Niger, and the Central African Republic. You better not touch that dial, because we're here to amplify youth voices. Amplify youth voices. The Children's Radio Foundation.
Hi, my name is Sikelela Kholom. I am from Gqeberha in South Africa. I am a young reporter from Bela FM in a show called Live Wire. And you are listening to Children's Radio Foundation. # We Amplify Youth Voices.
Hello, my name is Purity Mafunga and I'm a youth reporter from Kitwe, Zambia. Clever FM 87.7 on the Copperbelt, 96.9 in Lusaka and 92.1 in Solwezi. Coppola's most loved radio station. You are listening to Children's Radio Foundation. # We Amplify Youth Voices.
welcome back, and we're still talking all things health, and today we're talking sexual reproductive health, but right now we want to jump right into science.
Science and journalism, which is a very broad thing, I must say. It's one of those ones we also see, but we also just turn a blind eye to because, wow,
Science.
What is the link? Science is probably one of the most hectic stuff we can ever talk about. It's one of the most hectic things that we can ever get to encounter, you know. So science and journalism, we're going to be listening to a clip. And then from the clip, we're just going to come back and reflect on quite a lot of stuff because it's a world phenomenon. Science is there, you know, science fiction. It's stuff that is there. But there's a link, a direct one, in fact, between science and journalism.
I can't wait to learn about the link.
I also can't wait to hear. Let's just go listen to this one and we'll be back right after this.
I'm here today in part because with Beth Flower, we created a data visualization exhibit for the SNF Nostos conference. And the exhibit is an immersion in data, and it's about highlighting and illustrating the inequities that we know exist around the world with respect to health.
The last 2 years, we saw a rise of fake news during the pandemic about the coronavirus and health. What do you think as a journalist should have done differently?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and it's important. The role of the journalist and the role of the scientist in better communicating what we know is really complicated, and I think there's responsibility that lies everywhere. So you can think about it as scientists create new information and journalists in some ways consume it and translate it to the public, though of course sometimes the general public directly consumes it themselves without journalists. And so there's really a role for everyone. I think, you know, on one hand, as a scientist, I think that scientists should be more responsible for communicating science, not just to other scientists, but to the media, to journalists, and to the public directly. The journalists should work directly with the scientists and make sure that they're interpreting what they're reading correctly, because you can't expect journalists to have formal training and really understand the science, but you should expect them to be able to interpret the findings. And I think, again, this needs a lot of conversations between the scientists and the journalists.
So, what made you want to talk about this stuff?
I don't really enjoy any of this actually at all. I don't like doing interviews. I don't really like doing a lot of the communication side. I really enjoy doing the science. However, I understand the importance of it because I saw so many issues with that miscommunication. I study information spreading and the role of information. I understand the value of it. And so even though it's not what I would prefer to be doing with my time, I recognize that it's really, really critical. And so that's why I do it.
She says it's very, very, really critical because, as I said, it's science. Nobody wants to pay attention to science. It comes as a direct thing that we all need to link into and actually focus to, because if we have the journalists informing people about the right science developments and everything that we can use to better our lives, then why not?
Yeah, and I like the fact that you mentioned that journalists need to work with the science when it comes to disseminating information. Because, I mean, if you want to disseminate the correct information,
you need to know.
You need to know it.
Exactly. And how better can you get to know about a subject unlike actually going to sit with somebody and working directly with the person so that they share as much information? How much on a larger scale can it be if we talk about very much important things like health? Imagine if we had scientists who are solely based on health, who know quite a lot about health, sitting down with the worlds and the masses, and the journalists, telling them what needs to be addressed and how what needs to be addressed has to be addressed, and making sure that they circulate the right and correct information. How are we fighting a winning battle?
Yeah, because the world is changing, and definitely we need to be informed more about science and how we can link science with the provision of medicines. And
all the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, these are one of the faculties I was really interested in as an individual. not science, but journalism. Because I think this is what we're doing now. We're here circulating information. We might not be experts, but we are in a position where we can get them to come through and share with us quite a lot so that we're able to inform the masses. We're able to talk. We might not be official journalists, but we are using a platform as Mr. Andreas, the SNF co-president, just said. The way that they can target or explain or spread as much information about initiatives and stuff like that is using amplifiers like us. If we get to get all of the information from the scientists and all of the researchers, we might not know it, but we're able to share it.
Because imagine going out in the field to give information about something and you're totally blank about it. You only have the basic information. And imagine now you working with a scientist who has all the knowledge about a certain topic. You're definitely going to inform the people better regarding that topic. So it's very important for scientists and journalists to work together when it comes to providing information that's linked to health. Yeah.
Because, wow, there's a lot. I always say there's a lot because legit there is a lot. And we need to be in a position where we circulate and inform as much people as the masses. You know, when COVID took an outbreak, I know for sure that there has been a lot of times where people needed information. What is this COVID? How exactly does it work? And scientists were behind it. So scientists were able to serve the journalists and media houses and media people with as much information as possible so that we're able to, deliver it and inform the masses with the correct information at the very same time. So we're going to have, or rather one of us in the team had a chat with a physician. Her name is Laura Gardiner. And I believe you can tell us a little bit more about her better.
So Laura Gardiner is an associate professor in the Department of Civil and Systems Engineering at the Johns Hopkins University. Yeah, she's the leading the data collection and mapping efforts for the university's COVID-19 dashboard. So our youth reporters, Chris and Melpo, are the ones who collected this information from her, and she emphasized on the need for journalists to link with scientists when it comes to provision of healthcare information.
And we're going to be, rather, they had a chat with her, and I really think it's very edifying. So let's just jump straight to it. I can't wait.
About the mental health and the pandemic, we want to relate the subject with coronavirus to the 19. So the first question is, how were you feeling during 2020, having to keep in track of the pandemic, and did it affect you emotionally?
Of course, it was very difficult not to be affected. It affected everybody, especially the restrictive measures that put severe restrictions in our daily chores and acts, and life as we knew it was not the same. So it was natural to be affected, not only as a scientist and a physician. We didn't have enough available vaccine and medicine then to give to people to treat them. Then of course, as a person in charge of the communication to the people of the situation and trying to emotionally encourage sanity and to encourage safe behavior and to speak about science and uncertainties. It was not easy, and I tried to communicate with the people in their own language. People, you need to be simple, you need to be practical, and you need to get them to sense that you are in the same road with them, in the same avenue of them. It was an avenue of restriction. It was an avenue where basic freedoms were not there, and it was very difficult for all of us. I was happy to see that the Greek people in the first phase of the pandemic followed scientific lead, and we were one of the best countries in the world in the response to the pandemic. Then, it's always fighting a pandemic is a marathon, and this marathon you have to deal with multiple outbreaks and waves that do not carry with them infection only, but also severe disease, hospitalization, intensive care unit, intubation, death. There, the emotional burden is extremely high, especially for those affected and their relatives and their friends. Then you get an emotional burden and a spiritual burden and a mental health burden that has to do with the loss of the
bonse inene bomlemba mlando nangola Miss Awesome okufuma kukitwe mu Zambia inene bonempungu efe bachitama recording fuma ku Flavor FM 87.7 numsumba wa Copper Belt mle mfwa kuli ba Children Radio Foundation fwe babonfya ama voices yabapungwe.
Yes, I wish I could say that just like she said it. We amplify youth voices, I believe that's what she said. And we're back and serving you the best of all things, children's voices and youth voices. Very interesting link between journalism and also science. Do your research as a wise and vigilant community citizen member. Make sure that you edify yourself and inform yourself with all things about those links there, and just be in a position where you can just circulate as much information. We have come to the end of everything. It has indeed been a great time in Athens, and we're going to reflect a lot about this. I know for sure that I had a great time, but mostly when it comes to work, health alone as a conference, I really believe there's a lot we should be working to fighting, which is why we're going to ask the other team members. We're right here with Zanele and Sikelela, and they're going to be telling us a little bit more about their health goals. I mean, it's a broad thing, but I believe everyone has that one thing that they really want to achieve as far as health is concerned. So they're going to be telling us, or rather I also would love to share mine, my personal health goal and how I want to commit it, or rather why I want to commit myself to it. And I believe it's a very broad thing.
And I think you should start with yourself.
Must I start?
Yeah.
Why don't we save the gentlemen? I mean, you guys are ladies, all of you guys.
Yeah, come on. Gents first.
Gents, because I'm the only one. I'm going to get you guys. The health goal that I really think is important to me and something that I really want to commit myself to is to being in a position where I really don't want to grow and look old as a young person. There's a lot of people we see and we're like, this one is very young.
I find this funny.
It's very funny because we see it. And it's a goal for me. And I believe if I need to make sure that I edify myself mentally, I'm definitely going to do that. If I need to work out physically, I'm definitely going to do that. Just so I'm not in a position where I look like a very old person while I'm young. I still want to live long, guys. So that's my health goal, and I want to do that because I want to live long.
The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, guys. So if there's one thing that Greece has taught me is that, child, do not neglect your water. Drink water. I was never a water person, guys. In SA, I don't want to lie. But then the weather taught me that if you drink water, like everything becomes better. I'm not just saying this because I'm saying it, but then drink water. I'm going to make it a habit, guys, even when I'm back in South Africa. So the reason why I want to commit to it, it has showed me that everything becomes better. I'm glowing, y'all. International glow. The glow, your state of mind. You become even more productive when you don't neglect your body. So that's one aspect of me trying to take care of my body, like literally my whole body, from my mind and everything. So my water.
Water, and you can go.
There are a lot of commitments, really. But one thing I want to avoid is self-prescription. Okay. I do that a lot. Headache. Let me just drink something.
I relate.
Simple thing. Let me drink something.
Yeah.
But I want to stay away and prevent myself from taking medicines anyhow. Because I feel after the conference, I've learned a lot when it comes to medicines and how they can destroy your health. So I want to prevent that as much as possible. So
especially unprescribed medicine, hey?
Yo. I need to stay away.
Dr. Esther.
I mean, guys.
And you, Sikelela, what are your health habits that you want to adapt, and why?
Okay, so one thing that I want to start doing now is when I am not in a good mental state, go out there and actually seek for help and stop telling myself, oh, you're going to be okay, because that ends up affecting my schoolwork and my social life, basically. So I want to go out there and ask for help. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why is one of the part of the question?
Because it is affecting my social life, as I've mentioned, and the way that I am around people. So yeah, that's why I should go out there and seek for help.
There we have it, a pair of our youth reporters all the way from Africa, amplifying their voices and actually taking something home. We really believe that you also took something with you throughout the whole conference from the beginning yesterday to today. It has indeed been hectic, eh?
It's been a beautiful conference, though.
It has, definitely. I believe there's a
But
lot.
I've enjoyed
There's a lot I'm taking to Africa with, from some stuff that I can't take, like the weather. I believe I'm going to take it to Africa with. I don't know how, though. But yes, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much to the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. I learned to pronounce. I'm taking that to Africa as well with me. And the participants. I know we had a lot of people. I really wish we had the demographics to see how many people attended. Yeah, but yes, thank you so much to each and every one of you. If you came through here and walked right into our, compounds, we thank you so much for that. The Radio Pantheon team. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you so much to you guys for coming through and also edifying and sharing quite a lot with us. Our own youth reporters all the way from Africa. Thank you so much. Of course, darlings from the CRF. Thank you so much. The organizers, I'm seeing a lady right here. She's on her phone. She's making sure that things are okay, even backstage. Shine, girl, shine. Thank you so much for all of that. The speakers, how can we forget? We had a lot of speakers from across the world, from everywhere. Thank you so much to everybody who came and shared quite a lot. You know. The supporting team, of course, they wouldn't have done it with quite a lot of stakeholders and people who come from different walk of life to come and share with everything. And we look so nice on the pictures and the camera, guys. Did you see?
Yeah.
Much thank you, of course, to the camera team and the crew and everybody for the sound. I mean, they have just been counting us down and making sure that we are all set and all put. And the co-founder himself, Mr. Andreas Dracopoulos. Yes, Dracopoulos. Yes. Mr. Andreas Dracopoulos, we had a very interesting chat with him. Thank you so much to him and his team for setting up this quite a beautiful setup and a beautiful conference for us. I believe everybody has quite a lot to take home with, hey?
Yeah. I think you're forgetting one most important thing.
Who?
The food.
The chefs, guys. Thank you so much to the chefs. But yes, to everybody, thank you so much. We really hope you have a good time. Go out and continue with the activities that we still have. A concert is coming right up. A lot of other stuff is going to be happening here as well. So make sure that you do not leave here without getting a card that says you can go and get drinks somewhere. Because we see But yes, thank you so much from Sia Mokwena and Esther Shilala and
Zanele Molo, of course. Sikelela Kholom, the Black Beauty.
there we go. Thank you so much. We love you. Bye.
Bye.